It seemed like in the first half, Chaz was a lot more active defensively. How much do you agree with that, and do you feel like that opened things up for him on the offensive side?
I do think it helps when he's locked in defensively because I think it takes pressure off thinking that you got to make shots. And I think anytime you can get lost in the game defensively, and it helps. And I thought he really did a better job tonight of trying to set up cuts early. Obviously, getting out in transition helps all of us. Any team would say that. And but I do think the fact that he was locked in defensively helps him on the offensive end.
What were the biggest emphases for film the other day, and what were the biggest improvements that you saw from the team from Vanderbilt to today defensively?
Details, paying attention to the scout report, too many miscommunications last game, and just details really, and then offensively, details again. We didn't rebound, we didn't run like we need to. A lot of things we did, but again, I don't want to take away from any team that beats us. They beat us, and tonight coming in, just so much respect for Coach Jans, and I've always had admiration for the way he goes about things, and his teams are so hard to beat because they're not going to beat themselves. I'm sure they'll look at it and see they had some shots that they expect to make, just like anybody. When you're shooting it well, it's like we did in the first half. It obviously takes care of a lot of things, but I thought that Felix was really good tonight. I thought he's put together a good stretch here where he's doing a lot of what we need him to do, and I thought our screening was better. Movement was better. I thought Zakai had a really good floor game overall. I thought Jemiah was terrific. I mean, he's worked hard. I think he's focused hard more with his shot, trying to get it consistently, and I thought when he drove the ball, he was under control, all that. Jordan, obviously, when we started the second half, turnovers led them back in the game, and too many of them were unforced mentally, where we did things that we talked about not doing. And but when we did that, Jordan's buckets were big, and I thought their movement underneath the basket to get some separation was big, all of it. So it's. But physically, we knew we had to try to match them as much. They've just manhandled us the last two times we've played them. Again, I love their style of basketball, the way they play, and spent a lot of time myself like that. And but just proud of the overall team effort. That was really a terrific team effort, and we needed it because otherwise we couldn't have gotten a win tonight.
With Felix, when he brings the physicality that he's brought these last handful of games, how does that change y'all specifically on defense?
Well, I think guys have been here. We still talk about there's still guys that are still learning the whole system overall. But what he's done, he's again just what you said. He's brought physicality. We've lacked some of that. That's obviously something we really felt with he and JP at the beginning of the year with those guys that we would be as physical as we've been in a long time. But with JP going down, we obviously lost part of that. But still impressed with what Cade can do. I mean, Cade's stronger than you think. Igor's stronger than you might think. D. Stone, those guys can do it a different way. But we need even Jemiah when he goes there. He can guard. But what Felix is bringing us, rim protection. He's setting really. I mean, I think he's getting better at screens and all that. Just everything in particular. And I spent a lot of time with him the last 3 days working on a three-point shot, and he made one. You believe that, right? that was a design play. That was a big play, really. It was. Sometimes you get those, and Lord knows we needed one at that time.
Rick, are you surprised that details in a scouting report are an issue in a game in January with this group?
No, and we'll have it some more probably, just because it's hard. Winning's hard. Winning's really hard. The mental side of it, getting guys to lock into it, is hard. I'm sure, you see some things at the highest level where breakdowns that you wouldn't think would happen maybe in the NFL that still happen. And it's hard because what you're trying to do sometimes the other team is maybe pop something on you, and if you're not ready for it, and you can only give them so much, but then there's times where when a team, the flow of the, the way the flow changed. I mean, think about, we scored, didn't get back, let them, just where you try to build momentum. Those are the plays that can happen, and you wonder why they do happen, because that has nothing to do with scouting report. It has to do with playing basketball. You don't celebrate a shot and let somebody run by you. You go back, you build a wall. That should happen every single time, but for reasons it doesn't. Maybe a bad shot, turnover. You can't defend. We tell our guys we can't defend bad shots and turnovers. We can't. So feel has a lot to do with it. Grant, some guys they know exactly, and they're great at it. They just can absorb so much, and even not only what they need to do, they know what everybody else needs to do, and that's when you can really become really lethal on the defensive end.
Coach in the back here, yesterday after practice you had a conversation with Chaz. What was said and how did he respond after that conversation?
Well, he did what we talked about. I just keep telling him, he's at a different level. This is all new for him. Never been guarded physically, probably. Never been bumped like he has been. It's just a whole different level. And he can't get open if he's not going to make 2, 3, something to get guys off of him. I mean, if you're being down, how you going to set them up? What's going to be your counter to it? And then you got guys waiting to get you open, but they can't screen if you don't get enough separation. They can get a body on you. And that was what it was about. Showed him tape, been showing him tape. But to be honest with you, we've done that all year. And sometimes it takes him a little bit longer, but I thought tonight he really did do some of the things that we had been talking about that allowed him to get some separation and get a good look at, and knowing where to attack on the court, the space he needs to get to, ready to shoot. Sometimes he comes off, he's not sure, passer's not sure what he's going to do. We need him to do what we need him to do, and the ball be delivered, because the guy guarding him is going to catch up if he doesn't get set quick. And I thought he did a pretty good job tonight, probably a better job recently than he has been getting himself ready to shoot the ball quicker.
Coach, just what's it say about your guys, your maturity, the leadership to take? I mean, that had to be a pretty good job of taking the scout to the court in that first half defensively to hold him to 16 points.
They did. I thought again, these guys want to be good. They know we've got to get better. They know that. They realize that. They know this league is a brutal league, and they know that. But it's hard. Like I said, winning's hard. And you can play hard some games, and it's not enough because a few mistakes here or there. It could be leaving your feet. It could be fouling three-point shooters. You shouldn't foul three-point shooters. You shouldn't. I wish I could do the NBA rule. I think in the NBA, if you foul a three-point shooter, you got to buy everybody's dinner at a high-end restaurant. We maybe should implement that now. But the fact is, I mean, do you know how much we talked about not fouling a three-point shooter after the games all year? And I bet you we're leading the nation in it. I don't know if they keep that stat, and we come out and do it again tonight. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Building off earlier when you were talking about that being a design play with Felix taking the three, how big was that for the momentum of the game to kind of get back in your favor?
Well, they definitely took control of momentum. And again, I'm not taking anything away from them, but you turned the ball over the way we did, and we got first 4 minutes, we went totally away from what we talked about at halftime, and they took advantage of it. They're too well coached, too many good players that, I call them, you throw lifelines to people, they're going to grab them, and they're going to, and it energizes them. It gives them a chance. Hey, I mean, having a 15, 20-point lead at halftime is not that big a deal. It really isn't. And it's hard to coach with a lead. It's hard to catch up with the lead, when you're behind. But the fact is, you're dealing with guys. I thought Grant's question was a good question because guys forget scouting reports. You wouldn't think they would, but it's a natural human tendency when you get up 15, 18, they think, some guys think the game's over. It's never over. I don't think it's over. I mean, I don't know how other people feel. It's funny. I sit at home and watch games sometimes, and I'm like, this game's over, and most of the time it could be, but I've been on games before where I've seen teams come back down 30 and win games, so I don't ever think they're over, and from our end, but it was a big play. Like I said, it was a lucky play, obviously, because he hadn't taken one all year. If he were smart, he wouldn't take another one. He'll leave here as the all-time leading three-point shooting percentage-wise. He would be the Tennessee's version of Danny White at Notre Dame. You know, Danny's the all-time leading field goal percentage shooter, so they can have that in common. Yeah.
Rick, you talked about that sequence where, State could have got it within 4, but that 3 spins off, and then Felix hits a 3. And are moments like that in coaching? Obviously, it went your way tonight. Sometimes it goes the other way. How hard is it as a coach to sort of accept things that you can't really control like that?
Well, it's hard. It's hard. You like to be able to stop the game and do what I do in practice. You guys see me in practice. I can't do that and ask, I don't understand it. There's so many things that go through young guys' heads. I can't tell you why, but I watch NBA games and I'm like, why would they do that? Or why would he do that? It takes all of us to be on the same page, understanding the flow. Like, I thought we took a couple of threes tonight. Again, we want our guys to shoot the ball when they're open. But I think some guys think when we talk about being aggressive and being in attack mode, I think some guys think that means shooting the ball. And that could be the furthest thing from it. It could be being aggressive, setting the screen, driving the ball, just taking shots to take shots, not being aggressive. That's not, that's not what it's about. But too many players think that, okay, if he wants me to be aggressive, that means he wants me to shoot it. And that's not what I mean at all. Anything else? All right, thank you.